This conference will now be recorded.
Andy, good evening. Welcome to Amazon Web Services. In the last two lectures, we have been successfully completed how to create EC2 Windows instance and how to create EC2 Linux instance. And even we successfully completed web server on EC2 Linux, Microsoft IIS server on EC2 Windows. Now, in this lecture, I will explain bootstrapping or user data. What is bootstrapping or user data? Run commands on your Linux instance at launching. Run commands on your Linux instance at launching refers to a self-starting process or set of commands without external input. We can bootstrap the instance for installing packages, running updates, and configuring various settings. I think you cleared. Bootstrapping is nothing but run commands at launching instance. So while launching instance, you have to give the what input. That inputs are what commands. Okay, for example, my agenda is launching one Linux instance and installing Apache web server. I mean HTTPD web server. Generally, create instance and connect instance and execute the commands. But the same commands you can execute while launching instance. That is nothing but bootstrapping. So run commands at launching instance. That is called what? Bootstrap. So that bootstrap is the what? Self-start process. I mean you can set up commands. But when to use this bootstrapping, you want to installing softwares or you want to updating softwares or you want to change some settings in the server, then we'll use the what? Bootstrapping. Okay, now I will execute. So the bootstrapping, I mean it is called what? Self-start process. So in the bootstrap verification, we can use curl HTTP 169.254 169.254 is the word. The same IP address for everyone. This is the what one IP for verification of the what? Bootstrap. Right. So now I will show you how to apply the word bootstrap. Then it will clear. Okay. So from the EC2 instance, I will go for launch instances. So select any Linux, bootstrapping for only Linux, Amazon Linux or Red Hat Linux or any Linux. So now I will select the what Amazon Linux too. So T2.micro, which is called what free tier eligible. But here under step 3, configure instance details, number of instances are 1. Then it is called what? Default, subnet, auto SN, IP settings and everything. Now here you can add the what user data. That is called what bootstrap data here. So the bootstrap data as a text format or as a file format. I mean file means you can create multiple commands in a file, then load the what that file here. Otherwise you can write the directly raw data here as a text format. So now first let me show you so where to write the what commands and what commands we recommended for the bootstrap. For example, in the notepad, I will tell you first. In the bootstrapping, the first line you must write has exclamation slash bin slash bash. So because the every Linux command will execute by the bash shell. So that's why it is a shebang line or as bang line. The first line must be right with what? The execution path. This is called what? Interpreter line. And somebody is writing even it is a SH or even it is a what? KSH like this. But this is the what Red Hat Linux. Then the advanced shell is the what? Bash shell. So that's why it is called what? Slash bin slash bash in the first line of the bootstrap. And then the second line is so comment line. But actually when the line starts with when the line starts with hash only, it is a comment line. But line starts with hash including exclamation, it is not comment line, it is a what? Path of execution. Then here it is called what? The comment line is installing myself, like it is called what? Installing httpd web server. Installing httpd web server. Then the first requirement is I want to update the server. So you know that before installing packages, first update the server, yum update -y. Then install the software, yum install httpd -y. So now after updating, I want to install httpd software. Then after installing, like it is called what? I want to start the service. You know that command systemctl start httpd is the option. Systemctl start httpd. Then I want to enable the service systemctl enable like httpd. And the location to creating the page, like it is called what in the Linux, you know that echo means what? To print the what statement. Okay, I want to print the what one statement in the web server. What is the statement? So echo, like I want to print welcome to, which is called what? AWS I want to print. But you know that, so the statement will be in the document root location, which is called where www html location in the file name of index.html. Otherwise the server will load the what default web page, which is called what one test page, you know that in the last lecture. But I want to load the what? Welcome to AWS page. So this page will create under index.html file. That file will be available under var www html location. So now I want to execute these are all commands while launching instance. But generally these commands will execute after creating instance, connect instance and execute these commands. Correct. So now I want to execute these are all commands while launching instance. Just copy these commands. Now write it, paste here. So directly you can write it, but this is not good idea to write directly here. That's why I did write everything on the notepad. Then the same commands copied and paste here. So now this is called what? User data, which means bootstrapping. Then remaining everything is same. Go for add storage. The instant storage capacity is the 8 GB. So remember everyone, please keep it with what default size of the storage. Then the tag names. The tag name is, this is called what? The name of the tag is, okay, this is web server is my identification, web server. Then web server recommends what port numbers, guys? What ports are recommended for the web server? Hello, tell me what port is required for the web server? Hello. Okay, now I'll create the what? New security group, which is called what? Web security group. The web security group, like port 22, which is anywhere, that is for connection. And now the one more port is http 80, which is called what? Anywhere address. So web server recommends 80 port number. Then a review, launch instance, the instance again running with what? Same keep it launch instances. So launch failed because the security group, web security group already exists. So okay, the security group already exists. So the back revision screen, I will change the what, different security group name, edit security group. Okay, the security group name is web server security group like. Then review and launch instance, and keep it launch instances. Now successfully created. So no need to give any input values. So after creating an instance, the web server is ready. So now this is the what, web server instance. So now while launching instance, I applied the what, even bootstrap commands. Those commands will execute while launching instance. Just wait few seconds until finish this process. Okay, now it's what, initializing. Okay, now I will copy the what, instance public IP address and paste in the web browser. So you will see the you will see the message on the screen. Welcome to AWS. Yes. So now Bootstrap is success, right? So every command successfully executed. That's why you got the output on the screen. Welcome to AWS. Then here, where is the Bootstrap? Like in case you get an error. So like you did get an error. So if you get an error, then where to verify the bootstrap? Then what bootstrap you applied, what user data you applied, how do you know that? So now remember, select instance in the instance actions. So instance settings, under instance settings, here is the option edit user data. In the edit user data, like current user data, what bootstrap you upload, see this here. So bin bash yum update -y yum install httpd systemctl start httpd. So like this is the what, your bootstrap data. But you want to verify the what, means update the bootstrap, like any mistakes are happen, then directly we cannot edit the what, this user data. Then what to do, here the notification, to edit your instances user data, you first need to stop your instance. So first stop instance and edit your instance data, then save it, now run it. But you cannot edit the what, bootstrap data while running an instance. Remember this point. Okay, the same bootstrap data, then how can you verify through command line? So is it possible to verify the what bootstrap data through command line? Yes, it is possible. How it is? Copy the word bootstrap, copy the word instance IP address, connect it, then SSH, authentication, browse it, connect the instance first. Okay, yes. The default username, you know that, easy to use it. Okay. So now how to verify the word bootstrap data? The command is curl space http :/ 169.254.169.254 slash latest slash user hyphen data. So this is the option, this is the command to verifying the what user data, what user data you applied. How do you know that? Then this is the what common command for everyone, the same address, the same meaning like everyone. So enter. See this, or what is the bootstrap? You've been bashed like these commands you applied, right? So this is called what? User data. Okay, so this is the way to verifying the what? User data details. Then next one is what is metadata? So this is also a repeated question. What is metadata? Metadata is data about your instance that you can use to configure or manage the running instance. Right? Retrieving instance metadata. Again, you follow the what? Curl HTTP 169.254 169.254 latest hyphen metadata like this. So metadata is nothing but collection of instance details. Collection of instance details. Instance details means, for example, how to verify the metadata means if you check the what instance, you will get the what complete details of your instance. What is that? Instance ID, public IP address, private IP address, what instance state, and what security group of instance, what is the host name of the instance, what instance type is running. So this is the what complete metadata. But the same metadata, how can you verify? Through command line. That is the what interview question. How to check instance metadata through command line. So now the same data, how to verify that? So the same command, but instead of user data, you will keep it meta hyphen data, metadata. Then enter. So this is the word completely metadata, image ID name, what is the events, host name, instance ID, and instance type and everything. For example, what instance type is running here? So now here slash instance type. So now you get the word t2.micro is the output. Yes, instance data is t2.micro. Then you want to get the word instance name. Then it is called what? Here it is called what? Host name. Then host name or instance ID you want. Then you will keep it the what? Instance ID. See this? I06 is like that. 253 is the what? Instance ID. So what is that? 253 is the what? Instance ID. And please check it the what? These are all details once again. Okay, so next one is, what is instance dynamic data? So dynamic data means, dynamic data includes an instance identity document that is generated when the instance is launched. So now while launching instance, the dynamic data has been created. What is the dynamic data? That is called what? Security details. So identity details are what? Dynamic data. Okay, how to get the what? Dynamic data? So here, instead of metadata, you will keep it the what? Dynamic. So now, what are the dynamic data? That is instance identity data. You will keep into what? Instance identity data. So now I want to verify the word. This is the what? Identity data 2048, like it is called what? Key pair details. So this is the what? Complete key pair details through command line, right? So this is overall bootstrapping user data or metadata. User data and metadata concept. Then, and the next important thing. Okay, the next one is, what is the key pair? You know that, guys. Key pair is nothing but it is a combination of public and private keys. So EC2 uses public key cryptography to encrypt and decrypt login information. So like the combination of public and private is nothing but key pair. So what you have been downloaded with name of online. So which is called what? Private key. But AWS maintains backend is the in the instance public key. So these two combination is nothing but key pair. But this public key cryptography uses to encrypt a piece of data that recipient uses the word private key to decrypt the data. I mean, the end user maintains the private key and AWS instance maintains the word public key. And now what is the security group? You know that. Security groups are act as a virtual firewall for controlling traffic at the instance level. So you want to protect your instance, then you will use the what? Security groups. It contains a set of rules that filter traffic coming inbound and outbound of an EC2 instance. Inbound and outbound of an EC2 instance. Security groups are support only allow rules. I mean, if you create any new security group, the security group contains inbound rules and outbound rules. But you should write the rule under only inbound. But automatically it will open the what? Outbound rules. So that's why it supports only allow rules. And then network interfaces, this is the new one, important this one also. So that is network interfaces. Elastic network interface is a logical networking component that represents a virtual network card, a virtual network card. Each instance has a default network interface called the primary network interface. So you can create and attach additional network interfaces. So where is the interfaces? Actually, what is the interface? See here in the AWS EC2 instance, if I run the what if config, what is the IP address of this server? The server IP address is this is. But this IP address attached to one network interface that is called what? NIC card. Network interface means what? NIC card. NIC card, network interface card. That network interface card is ETH0 is the what? Network. But every instance have one primary network interface. One primary network interface which his name is ETH0. If you attach one more interface, then it is a ETH1. If you attach one more, ETH2. Like you will keep it the what? Multiple network interfaces. But every instance have one network interface which is ETH0, Ethernet 0, right? So when the interfaces are available, then only network communication is possible. So means your way to keep it your network cable. So like you want to get internet, you want to communicate other systems, definitely you need to attach the what? Network cable of your network cable to your computer. So that network cable port is nothing but internet, like it is Ethernet network interface card, NIC card. Okay, so then how to create another NIC card for this computer? I mean, it is called what? You want to create virtual network interface. Then what is the option to create? So now I will show you how to create network interface. So generally every instance one network interface. So where is the network interfaces under network field? So we have one network interface card. Uh, yes, this is the word network interface card. This is the name of the network interface card. Only one network interface card. Okay, now I'll go for the what in the option of here network interfaces. In the network interfaces, you have only one card. That network interface card is already attached to web server. So that is called what attached or detached. So this is the what status. So when the status is in use, then what is the meaning? That interface is already attached to instance. That interface is already attached to instance, which is called what network interface. Okay, I want to create another interface. Then here is the option create network interface, right? Create network interface. The description of the network interface is like it is called what my eth1, like that is eth0, this is the eth1. And where to create it, this network interface, you should be the same availability zone. I mean, so this network interface is already running us east 1d. So then same way you have to create the what the secondary network interface on this same availability zone us east 1d. So now create network interface. Okay, this is the what my eth1. I will make it on us east 1d. US East 1D. Then this interface through port, like it is called what the security group is production security group, RDA security group, are like it is called different security groups are there. Like where this US East 1D, one just one check it once again. It's subnet. Okay, this is 1D. So now the security group name is again this security group is web security group. So through this interface, again port 22 and 80 only. Then create network interface. Okay, the second network interface successfully created, but any new interfaces, the status is available. I mean, the network interface, this interface is not attached to any instance. Then what to do? Like it is how to attach the instance. Then select instance. I mean, select interface in the actions, attach, attach. Then where to attach? I want to attach to my web server. Then attach it. So now my interface successfully attached. See that successfully created, successfully attached to network interface. Now I will refresh the page. What about state of the interface? The state is in use. Now I'll go for my network, like it is called instance. If I check the what if config, the second network interface is ETH1 is added. See this? Previously only ETH0 and now ETH1. So now this instance running with two interfaces. I mean two IP addresses for the instance. But remember everyone, the interview question, is it possible to detach any primary network interface? No, we cannot detach any primary network interface. So you can attach and detach only secondary interfaces, but primary is mandatory. So if you detach this primary, then how can you connect that instance? So one interface is mandatory for connecting instance, which is called what? Primary network interface. But you can detach and attach this secondary network interface only. So how to detach it? So now I want to detach the what network interface. Select it. Then in the actions, here is the detach. But you want to set the IP address for the instance. So now here is the option manage IP address and sending the IP address to allow secondary private IP address or to assign the what additional IPv4 addresses. Automatically it will get the what one IP address for the instance. So now I want to detach the what instance. So here detach. So now detaching the what interface. So now interface is being to detach. So the state of the interface is in use. Then if I refresh, then the state of instance is the what? Again in use. Wait few seconds until finish this process. Yes, now state is what? Available. Then if you check what is the interface, if config, only see that ETH0, we don't have any ETH1. This is the what? Primary network interface. So you want to delete the interface, then here it is called what? Select the interface and then the actions and delete option. So now easily to delete the what interface. But we cannot detach and delete the what interfaces of EDS. See, this is the primary interface. If you want to detach, then see this. What is the error? Fail to detach the network interface, because the network interface is already attached to instance, already connected to instance. So that's why we cannot detach and attach any primary network interfaces. So you can attach and detach only secondary network interfaces, right? So this is the what? One option, network interfaces. And what is the next important thing? The one more important concept, which is called what? Elastic IP address. So this elastic IP address concept is also an important. So what is elastic IP address? I told you yesterday. So if you stop and start the instance, so you will get the what different IP address after starting the instance. But my requirement is I want to dedicate one IP address for the instance, because actually this is the what one web server, right? So this instance is the what one web server. So every customer, like it is called what, customer able to connect this instance every day with this IP address only. So mean many people able to connect and manage this instance with this IP address. But if I stop and start the instance, again the IP address will be changed. Then customer is shouting, why I need to change the IP address every time? And even people are asking, why I need to change every time IP address? So that's why in the real environment, the process is, so when will you create one new instance for the production? Definitely, you will make it the word one elastic IP address for the instance. What is the elastic IP address? Fixed IP address for the instance. You want to set static IP address for the dynamic cloud computing, then it is a elastic IP. So I will prove it again. See that instance state is the what? Stop. Now we are being to stop the what instance. So what is the IP address? 17.36 is the what IP address. Now stopping the instance. Okay, instance has been stopped. What is the IP address? Actually, the server 17.36. But now, if I start again instance has been started. Now state is pending. After few minutes, you will be able to see the message running status. Once instance state is running, you will get the what different IP address. Right, see this. If I check the IP address now, 131.114. So after stopping and starting instance, so you will get every time different IP address. Sir, how can I persist IP address? I mean, how to fix the IP address? Then solution is elastic IP address. What is the solution? Elastic IP address. An elastic IP address is a static IPv4 address designed for dynamic cloud computing. Attaching an EIP to an instance will be replace its default public IP address. So if you attach elastic IP address, this IP address will replace the default public IP address. And what is the limit for the elastic IP address per region? You can create 5 elastic IP addresses. Then how to create elastic IP address, then how to attach to instance. Now I will show you. Generally, this is the public IP address. Then if you watch it, then welcome to AWS. Now previous IP address is not working because stop and start. Right now, the web page is available over this IP address. Then how to create elastic IP address, then how to attach this elastic IP address for the instance. Then the solution is, where is the elastic IP? Here, elastic IPs. So allocate elastic IP address. So this is Amazon's pool IP for address. Then allocate address. No need to give any inputs, directly allocate address. So it successfully created one elastic IP address. What is IP address? 52.205.215.133. So this IP address, I want to replace the what? My dynamic IP address of the instance of web server. So how to replace it? Then select the instance, select the elastic IP in the accents and associate elastic IP address. So associate elastic IP address. Then this elastic IP address for the instance or network interface. Even just now I told you network interface. You will keep it the IP address for the interface. Now I want to set the what? Primary network interface for the instance. So which instance you want to set? I want to set for the web server. And which IP address you want to replace? This IP address. Then associate. Okay. Now successfully attach it to instance. Now verify that here the state of the elastic IP address is everything fine. Now this IP address is not working. I think. So this one is not working now because this IP address is replaced with what? My elastic IP. Where is the elastic IP address? So go for instance. So this is the what previous IP address. Just refresh the page and do it. What is the IP address? This is 21Y like this. So select this IP and go for paste it. Yes. So previous one 131.114. Now 215.133. Now even you can stop the instance number of times. So I go for the what stop instance. What is the IP address? 215.113. Okay. Now if I start the instance again, see this, the same IP address is available. Okay. Now it is running state. What is the IP address? Same IP address 215.133. 215.133. So the same web page is what available. Right? This is called what? Elastic IP address. Then how to remove the what elastic IP address? Then go for elastic IPs. Again accents and first de-associate elastic IP address. I mean detach the what elastic IP address for the instance. Then de-associate, dissociate address. So now successfully dissociated. But once you dissociate the what elastic IP address, then the instance will grab the what different IP address. Now check it. What about the instance IP address? See, still 215.133. If I refresh it, the instance will get the what different IP address. What is that? 117.156. Previous is the what 215.133. Now this instance running with what? Again, different IP address. That is. Okay, now I want to deal with the what? Address. So elastic IP addresses are chargeable, and after finishing the practicals, please be release the address. So release elastic IP address is nothing but deleting address from your account. Okay, now successfully deleted. So I want to delete network interfaces. Yes. Okay, one interface is primary. But when will you delete the what? That instance, automatically that interface also will be deleted. So now I want to terminate the instance. Now instance is setting down. And no need to delete security groups, no need to delete and key pairs like that, because key pairs and security groups are not chargeable. So you will keep it multiple key pairs and multiple security groups, and why need to create every time security group and say key pairs? So that's why better to keep it the same security group, same key pair for the next instances. So because they are not chargeable, right? So the key pair and security groups, those are not chargeable. Okay, instance terminated. Once instance is terminated, so like even the network interface also be terminated. See that we don't have any network interfaces at the reason. So everything will be terminated automatically. What are the primary? Okay, so this is the what today lecture, and tomorrow also we have a lecture. So even Saturday I will continue the what lecture tomorrow. I will explain one more different concept, and please be continue. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much.